Alright, Andrew Cushman here with today's episode of Don't Miss This. Today we're going to cover the much rumored and feared aluminum wiring. It's something that you come across in certain age buildings, generally from the mid-60s to the early 70s. You may ask, well, why do we not have copper in these buildings? Well, in the mid-60s the price of copper just went through the roof, and being entrepreneurial Americans, we had the great idea we'll just use aluminum because it's cheaper. Well, pretty soon they started finding out that there's problems with that. It it's not as flexible, it can get dented, and also it oxidizes, and all of these things create points where it generates resistance and therefore heat and can be fire prone. In the early 70s they came up with some better alloys that worked a little bit better, but then they quickly went back to copper, and that's usually what has been used since. So if you have a building with aluminum wiring, it doesn't mean it's a bad deal, or you need to run away from the property, or no longer acquire it, or that you can't get insurance. We hear that all the time. It just means that you need to know you have it, number one, and then number two, properly mitigate it. So the first thing we're going to look at is how do you even tell if you have aluminum wiring. So here's the electrical panel for this unit right behind me, and I'm going to go ahead and take this off here in just a second and be right back, and we'll take a look at the wiring. Alright, so we have our panel off here. Before I get into this, I want to do a quick disclaimer. Number one, I am not an electrician, so please don't watch this video and think you can run off to Home Depot and take care of this stuff yourself. The point of this is just to give you an idea of how to find out if you have aluminum wiring, so then you can go hire your own electrician and have them take care of it for you. Also, we have all of the breakers in the off position, and ideally you would have the main feed to the entire unit turned off as well. Okay, so here we are inside of our panel. It's not the cleanest panel, but again, this was a recent acquisition. So up here you have your main service feeds to the unit. Even today, these are generally aluminum. And then as you come down, you're looking at your feeds to your heavier duty appliances, which also is normal today to have these made out of aluminum. So what you're looking for is your branch circuiting, and that's the stuff that goes to your outlets and your light switches and all the rest of the minor stuff throughout the unit. And it's a little tough to see, but right here, this piece, the protective coating has been scraped off, and you can see that that is aluminum, and that right there means you have aluminum wiring in your unit, and your insurance company or possibly lender are going to want you to do some kind of mitigation on that. Now if you can't see well there, you come down here, you can see your neutrals are all aluminum. You've got bare aluminum all throughout this box. And a few main feeds have been cut for some reason. Again, we just got to this unit, so we're not quite sure what's fully going on here. And then actually, this is a good contrast. Someone came through and added a copper line, maybe for some other small appliance, or they added an outlet somewhere. And that really shouldn't be fully bare, but you can see right here, that's copper. And so you can contrast pretty well with the aluminum. It's not something you can just walk into a unit and see. You do need to pull the panel and take a look. Before we go to another unit and look at a panel that does have copper branch wiring, we're going to go take a look at one of the ways to mitigate this. Alright, so if you've got aluminum wiring, what do you do? Well, there's two main ways that's mitigated that does not involve rewiring the entire property, which is going to be cost prohibitive. The first is what's called pigtailing. That's basically a device that you put on that connects the aluminum and copper in a way that mitigates the fire hazard. And the other is to use Kohler switches and outlets. And if you mention either one of those things to your contractor, they should know exactly what you mean. So don't worry about knowing, the details of it. Just that's what you need to ask for. In this unit, they've already done some of the mitigation, and so we've gone ahead and pulled off the plates. We have a switch here that's been converted to a Kohler switch. And then down below we have a outlet that's also been replaced with Kohler. So I'm going to show you up close what that looks like, so that way if you get to a property and you find it has aluminum wiring, you can go pull these plates and see if it's been mitigated. Alright, it's a little hard to see, and I apologize for the shakiness, but if you look at the bottom of the switch, you see it says CO/ALR. That is Kohler switch, and that means that someone has gone through and replaced the switches in this unit so that to mitigate any fire hazards from the aluminum wiring. And basically your insurance company, as long as this has been done, or the pigtailing, then that should satisfy their demands. Okay, and here's your outlet. This has been installed upside down and it's been painted, but that's a subject for another day's video. If you zoom in right here, or I'll zoom in for you since you don't have control of that. Again, you'll see the CO/ALR. And basically what that means is these are rated for copper or aluminum, and that means the aluminum branch wiring in this unit has been mitigated, and you should be all set and hopefully not have any real concerns. All right, so now we are actually at the sister property to the one we were at before. This one does have copper wiring, so I wanted to take a minute to show you what the copper looks like so that you actually have the visual to compare against what something looks like when it's completely done in aluminum. Alright, so here we are inside our lovely panel. It should not be this dirty, but that's the subject of another video. And notice, quick safety, we have turned all the breakers off. And then we did push these wires a little bit out of the way just so we could see a little bit better. But, again, you're here to verify copper. And if you look right back there, those are your grounds, and those are generally exposed, and that is copper. So that tells you right there that your branch circuits in the unit, meaning the wiring to the light fixtures and the outlets and all that it's copper. Another place to check right here, it's not quite as easy to see, but your neutrals. You can see the exposed piece right there is copper. And then moving over to your branch circuitry over here, again, it's not the easiest to see, but you've got exposed copper right there. Now, for comparison, if you come up right here, and then this property was built in 1974, you'll see that the feed to the appliances still is aluminum. So you can see hopefully you see the contrast between what that exposed aluminum wire looks like versus the copper, which is the red wire towards the bottom. It is considered acceptable to have the appliances still on aluminum, and then again, the main feed to the entire unit, typically even to this day, is still aluminum. So you'll see that there. So you've got your aluminum service to the unit, and you've got your service to the appliances, which of course carries more power, and then you've got your copper branch circuitry right here, or branch wiring, and that is really what you're verifying. That's what the insurance company is going to want to know that you have, and that is generally the biggest problem for potential fire hazards. Alright, so there you have it, the copper wiring versus the dreaded and feared aluminum wiring. In reality, aluminum wiring isn't that big of a deal, but it is something to be addressed and mitigated. And to reiterate, don't try to do it yourself. It's something that when you see it, bring in a licensed electrician, have them give you an estimate and a bid and an idea of just what it will take to get it corrected, and then move forward and have a good deal.